Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 500 Startups Vietnam's Demo Day 2020. I'm Eddie Tai, a GP of 500 Startups Vietnam, and your host for the evening. Thank you for taking time on a Friday to get to know some of our amazing founders. We'd intended originally to keep this event COVID cozy, but I've just been told we have more than 100 people here already, and some other folks that are stuck in traffic. On top of that, we have folks dialed in on our live stream on YouTube as well. They won't get the booze after, but they'll get to hear from our founders also. Thanks so much for your enthusiasm. Please allow me to take a few minutes to get us started. First, the agenda. The core program will run about 75 minutes. In a moment, we'll have a panel discussion featuring two illustrious players from the Vietnam startup ecosystem to reflect on 2020 and look ahead to 2021. Then the main event. We'll jump into presentations from 9 startups in fintech, e-commerce, education tech, and more. Each will give a 3-minute overview of where they are and where they're headed. That'll be it for the core program. Just as with any demo day, the core program is meant to get the conversation started. So folks here in the room will be able to step outside and connect over cocktails. Folks online, you'll be able to go to our dedicated demo day webpage where you can opt into reaching out to these founders and learn more. Tonight's event was made possible by lots of people. Before we get started, I'd like to give special thanks to 5 groups in particular. First, thanks to AmCham Vietnam in Ho Chi Minh City for co-organizing our Demo Day event once again. Business is about convening conversations, and AmCham means business. Please check out their website for information about other events and other ways to get involved. Second, today is the 2nd anniversary of the announcement of the final close of the 500 Startups Vietnam Fund. So it's a good day to say thanks to the investors of our fund, especially GS Shop, for believing in us and believing in what's possible for entrepreneurship here in Vietnam. Without them, the Saola accelerator would not exist, and I wouldn't have a job. So thanks. Third, today's also Teachers' Day here in Vietnam. So, of course, we want to thank the 13 growth experts, entrepreneurs in residence, and other mentors who spent time with our entrepreneurs on matters big and small. You're masters of your crafts, and we're all privileged to have learned from you. Fourth, the 500 Vietnam team, for everything that you do with the care you take in doing it. Especially today, I'd like to thank Hao Lee, our program manager for Saola over the last 3 batches. She's standing there in the back with the orange armband and white shirt. She once called herself a mama hen, looking after her chicks. Never mind that most of the founders are older than her. It didn't stop her from giving them a hard time when they needed to. Lastly, but not least, the participating founders. You've got a lot going on, especially during this difficult year. But you gave it your all, and you let us push you hard, and you took things in stride. So thank you for trusting us to join you on your entrepreneurial journey. To spare time, that'll be it for now, but like I said, lots of other people were involved, so thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, finally, a couple of housekeeping matters. For those here at the venue, please kindly silence your cell phones if you haven't already done so. If you need Wi-Fi, the information, login, name, and password are at the bottom left there. And then finally, bathrooms are out the door to the left at the end of the hall. Those of you participating from live stream, you already know your Wi-Fi info and bathroom, so you take care of that yourself. All right, here we go. It's sort of a given that 2020 has been a tough year, and that 2021 will be looking up. Let's have a conversation to get a little more color into that. I'd like to welcome onto the stage Leng En from Endeavor Vietnam and Olivier from Phoebe Ventures. Please give them a hand. Right in front of your picture. let's get started with, for folks who haven't had a chance to meet you, can you give a brief introduction about who you are, your organization, and what you're looking for here in Vietnam?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Lan Anh, and I run Denver Vietnam, which is it's a global network of high-impact entrepreneurs, and we select and support scale-up companies. So companies that enter into a phase that they can scale, and we select them, we support them with mentorships and fundings and networking and a lot of things. And the way we do it is we build a network of successful people, successful entrepreneurs, and upcoming ones. And the successful one would support and help the younger ones. So that's the way we do. And I see a few people in Denver network here. I see a mentor sitting there. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell.
Great, thank you. Olivier?
Thanks a lot, Eddie, for having me. Thanks, Bean, and thanks the 500 Startup team. It's great what you do for the ecosystem and super cool to be here in Vietnam with you guys. Congratulations again. Just a few words about Phoebe. So first of all, Phoebe is an acronym for Entrepreneur by Entrepreneur. We are a founder-centric platform. We are 4 partners. 2 of my partners run a conglomerate of 6,000 talent here in Vietnam. The 4 of us, we create ourselves around 32 companies. We invest in 65 others. Most of our LPs are from Vietnam, but also from Singapore and US. And most of them are entrepreneurs, either high net worth individual or family. We invest in early stage. Either seed or pre-A, tech only, Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And we've done 7 investments this year, 3 in Vietnam, 2 in Singapore, 1 in Indonesia, 1 Philippines, 2 fintech, 2 logistic, 1 health tech, 1 education, 1 prop tech. And
did you get those? Did you get that?
And with great co-investor like SoftBank, Sequoia, and very soon with 500 Startup.
Great, thanks. So despite our efforts to invest, of course, VC investment in Vietnam has declined this year, just as it has in other markets. Google, Temasek, and Bain just released a report that showed it declined substantially versus the second half of last year, although it was still higher than the first half of 2019. So decline, but not a precipitous drop. But I wanted to ask Olivier if you have perspective on what the VC activity has been like here in Vietnam, both among domestic investors as well as international investors.
So in terms of deal flow, at least, we received so far around 20 to 25 investment opportunity per week. We close around 1 deal every 100 startup that we screen. So that's to indicate a bit the volume of activity. I would say 50% of it is in Vietnam, 50% is in the region. So that's the first photography about the deal flow. In terms of VC, I mean, I see two types of VC. The historical one, and we know that they were super busy in the last quarter to first taking care of their own portfolio. Some funds have hundreds of companies, and before signing new check, they have to take care and do some bridge round and pivot some company and make some savings and make some cuts. So they were pretty busy, and therefore they were not that active. Some others managed to do both, sign a few deals this year and still managing the portfolio. And some others, like Phoebe, we are kind of COVID native. We started the fund in January, so we started with the white page and we were able to deploy some capital. Other point is that Vietnam is truly underserved. If you look at the last research that you just mentioned, Vietnam is below 10% of the total investment of the region. If you take the GDP of the region, Vietnam doesn't receive its fair share. So,
opportunity. Exactly. How have later stage startups been doing? You work with a lot of growth stage startups, right? So they were doing quite well pre-COVID. How have they fared?
Yeah, actually, I think they're still doing well. So there's a few months of pickup when the COVID happened. But I think most of the company in our network, the company that enters scale-up stage, they see opportunities and they are still growing. But of course, there's some in some area, in some industries, there's very fierce competition. As you can see, like in e-commerce, in logistics, and fintech, those are very fast-growing vertical, but also a lot of competition.
In those areas with lots of competition, often we see the game, at least before 2020, was raise a lot of money, spend a lot of money. How has the game changed that you can tell from your companies in the highly competitive sectors?
Yeah, I think that earlier this year, when crisis happened, every company is in a very survival mood, and everyone was like saving the runway and spending less. But because they still need to grow, and then even though they are looking into more sustainable way to go, I think in some areas, the strategy is still that you need to grow and you need to burn. Probably less than before, but it's a mixed picture.
So that must be tough, because a lot of that money was, a lot of the growth stage money was coming from international investors historically. But I guess my 2 cents here, I think historically it's been true, and so with the travel restrictions, some of the Korean Series A, Series B investors, Chinese, et cetera, have been a little bit less active. But fortunately, I have heard of some of the local private equity funds, Mekong Capital, VIG, et cetera, picking up the slack, looking with a lot more interest and intent in the digital space. In our audience today is someone, at least one person from one of those funds, so you can catch them in the networking session later if you want to ask more about that. Whereas on the seed stage, of course, some of that was happening from international investors, but a lot of it already before COVID was coming from local folks based here in Vietnam, like Phoebe, like 500 Vietnam, and so on. Last quarter, Q3 of 2020, was 500's most active quarter to date in terms of investment activity. We closed 11 investments. We'll see in the longer term whether that makes sense, but that's just to say we think there's a lot of opportunity to invest right now.
Yeah, just one comment on that. Yeah, I mean, Vietnamese entrepreneur definitely should stay very positive. There is a lot of dry powder in the region. A lot of funds, especially in Singapore, I mean, Korea, Japan, they raised a significant amount of money in the last 2 years. There is potentially $3 to $4 billion not deployed. So obviously, people cannot travel. So it's always a bit more difficult in the due diligence, and some doesn't really take the risk to deploy capital during those tough times. But for the real tier 1 company, when it's really a no-brainer in terms of team, in terms of market size, in terms of business model, even through Zoom or Google Meet, people are able to do some round very quickly. And for the company which are not, the evidence or the substance is not there at 100% and people have some doubt, yeah, definitely it's take a bit longer, but it's still doable, and many of the Singaporean VC have some analysts or principal here on the ground, and so it's definitely doable to close some rounds.
All right, enough looking backwards. Here in Vietnam, we don't like to spend a lot of time looking back. We're usually looking ahead. So to 2021. The IMF and other international organizations have forecast that Vietnam's economy would recover substantially. Vietnam in 2020 already was one of the best performing economies in the world, thanks in large part to the very effective COVID response, and next year it's looking to grow even faster. I think that itself presents some opportunities, as well as COVID having created some potentially paradigm shifts in behavior of consumers or businesses. So my question for each of you is, where do you see the biggest opportunities for whether it's growth stage company support or early stage investment?
Well, because Endeavor is very much focused on scale-up stage companies, and I can also tell that there's a lot of money that looking to invest into companies that can have scale. I mean, there's a lot of big ventures funds that want to invest in companies that they see a potential to grow beyond Vietnam's border. And that is one of our big concerns, that we we don't have a lot of company with that strategy here in Vietnam yet. We're still very much looking inward in this market, and of course this is a big market. But let me tell you a story. So we have a few offices in the regions, and one of those offices are Indonesia. And recently, because Ben did a survey for Denver, and with a conclusion that the most impactful company to the economies in the world are the scale-up one, and we need to look for company that that can really scale. And when we look into our economy, and then when, let's say, Indonesia look into the economy, and they identify about 20 companies that can, let's say, can become unicorns. And we don't have many companies like that in Vietnam yet. So I think the challenge for lots of startups in Vietnam is to think bigger, think beyond what you are thinking right now.
So that perspective, it's not the first time I've heard, and it's a potentially controversial one. I wonder if you agree or disagree with Lang Anh.
Sure. So the way today we see like three main, I would say, segment. Startup who suffer a lot in the first and second quarter. They were totally knocked out, and they had either to pivot or die. And out of that, we potentially could see some opportunity early next year. Then we had a second cluster with some very promising company who moved from a kind of a blitzscaling approach to a more sustainable growth. So the growth was not amazing this year, but at least they have a pretty solid P&L, and we see some opportunity there. And then all companies around, or most of them, online education, health, e-commerce enabler, which are pretty hot and definitely benefiting from COVID. So and they are we've seen, and we have in the portfolio some company doing 5x this year, 3x, or doubling the revenue. So it's definitely possible and happening. And in terms of sector, yeah, very bullish about logistic, fintech. I have a lot of expectation about the new governor of Bank of Vietnam and the sandbox work. Education also in a Confucius country, pretty promising. But in general, we like that the founder surprises us, so we try to be very open-minded and not have a specific concept of. We mainly invest on people rather than, I mean, in our stage, rather than business model or business plan. So the game is open.
Are those, which of those sectors do you believe Vietnam teams can build international unicorns?
That's a good one. I mean, international, I'd rather be a SaaS business, because for all the other, whatever, e-commerce marketplace, it's kind of tough. So it's a good question. I don't have in mind a SaaS specific play where the Vietnam or Southeast Asia is legit compared to other continents. So no, I don't really have an answer on that.
I think game is a very exciting industry. We know a few game companies from Vietnam that can have potential to grow really big, because their market is already not Vietnamese market. They serve international market, global market. They're just keeping low profile, for obvious reason. So that's an area that totally can they can grow, but they need help because they're not that experienced in managing and thinking big. Well, they already this year is a very good year for company like games industries, right? So that's one area that I think Vietnamese company can really grow.
Yeah, gaming generally and esports in particular, I think. Especially, there's not a lot to do for a lot of the world. They're stuck at home. They don't have the luxury of coming out to events like this. So what do? They stream videos on Netflix. They watch, they play games and so on. So, and it's definitely not StarCraft looks like solitaire compared to what's coming out now. I'll say it's a different.
I tell you one thing, like we always go and looking for companies that can scale, and then we meet a group of game developer, and when I met them, I don't play game, right? So they said, we are the #1 in shooting helicopter. So I don't play, but yeah, they're #1 in the world, and they can grow, and they actually go so fast each year. So that's one example, and then there's a few other big names from Vietnam too.
Okay. Well, so far you've hesitated to name names, but here's the question I asked last year, which is, name a company not in your portfolio that you're most excited about here in Vietnam. Early stage.
Yeah, I believe it's now it's a Series A or Series B. The one that you've done with our partner Min, it's called Apply Board. I mean, in 18 months from zero to unicorn status. So congratulations to 500 and to Min. I also like in your portfolio Trusting Social. I know it's not seed or pre-A, but it's one of the business model and entrepreneur that I like pretty much.
Thank you. You'll get your reward later, but no, we're talking any companies outside of our portfolio too.
We are looking to recruit one company, and we really like it. It's called Telio. Yes, it's.
Can you explain what Telio is for the audience?
I don't know if I should talk about them yet, but yes, they distribute in FMCG products, and yeah, it's a huge market, and they really can scale.
It's a B2B marketplace, well, sort of marketplace it's been backed by Sequoia, and they're trying to connect brands with mom and pop shops. Well, actually, they're targeting larger than mom and pop shops, but basically the end retailers more efficiently than the current process, which is very much paper and pen and multiple cell phones, orders by multiple cell phones.
Also, there's one vertical that I find very interesting. In Vietnam, they start building the model co-kitchens, I heard. And I think it's something very interesting to look into. But I think very early.
Is there something that you're fearful about next year in the Vietnam ecosystem? Or maybe fearful is a strong word, but keeping an eye on.
I would say in terms of talent, I'm a bit surprised by I would say the capital that the big corporate are deploying to attract talent. So groups like One Mount Group or even Vin Group and stuff. So that's very important that the best generation of the best talent within this new generation go ideally to digital, because we have the competition from MBA, from BCG, McKinsey, from the big corporate. So that's one point that we monitoring. We need to have. We always think as a kind of addressable market for us or investable market. Startup doesn't mean anything. You could have startup who can just raise a bit money from the family and can break even and doesn't even need to have VC, you know. But for us, we need to see the scale, we need to see the potential, whatever, if they have a local play, regional or global, as you mentioned. But they need to be driven by the best talent. And like in every country, there is clearly a scarcity, and I'm always amazed by the salary offered by those guys, and then the opportunity cost of some founders. They don't go in tech, and they're going to work for Vin Group. So that's a kind of threats.
Yeah, I agree. Talent is a big challenge for most of the startup and tech company in Vietnam. And it's one of the things that Denver is looking to address that challenge. So we're building a tech talent network, and we're going to launch next year. The idea is that identify and gather the top tech talents, Vietnamese and foreigners who are interested in working in Vietnam. And we connect them with the founders, the CEO of tech company, because there's a gap between what company needs and those talent, what they want to do. We hear a lot of complaint about how they want like product managers, but they couldn't find. They need architects, they couldn't find. So we think that by connecting these people together and organize activity and let them know what they need, then it probably will help the ecosystem. So I hope you guys were looking forward to what we are launching next year.
That sounds exciting. I've heard about a few initiatives like that, and I think those are fantastic to help with this gap. And you're absolutely right that if we don't solve this, then we're not going to get scale-ups. We're not going to get these international unicorns that Vietnam is perfectly capable of getting.
But I don't think it's not only a problem of Vietnam. I spent 8 years in my life investing in Brazil back then in 2012. It was the same story. I was yesterday on a panel for the Indonesian market, and I was surprised that out of 10 startups was pitching, 8 of the founding team, and we're talking about the best company in Indonesia, were driven by Indian talent from engineer school who moved to Indonesia without having any roots. So the world today is totally global, and definitely the best Vietnamese, VietQ, some foreigners, some corporate, talent doesn't have any boundaries, and the substance can come from many different horizons. So it's an ecosystem, it's a combination of all those talents and factors.
Great. We're a little past time, but I'm very happy to take any questions from the audience here, if you have any questions for our panelists about what they're looking to invest in, who they're looking to hire. Now's your chance. You also have the chance at the networking. Oh, there's a little hand right there. I will run down. Please introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is Said Zaidani. I'm from VGU, Vietnam German University. I have a question for you. You mentioned 20 unicorns in Indonesia. So potential unicorns, potential. What are the segments that these guys are investing? Because 20 is a big number. And now I'm wondering, what is exactly the area that they are working on?
Well, I don't remember the exact, the exact industry of this company in. They're not yet unicorn, but they have potential to. So I think in various industry, Indonesia is a very big market. The GDP of Indonesia, I think, like 5 times of Vietnam. They have big population, so Indonesia itself is a very big market, and they can scale. But most of the company over there, they don't just think inside within their own border. They go beyond, like Gojek, they come here, and there's a few others companies that come here. So I think in many different industries.
To complement what you said, what we've seen in other big emerging economies is that you have unicorns in almost all the categories, from fintech to education. Here in Southeast Asia, it's still very, very oriented, e-commerce, but you will see a shift in 2-3 years from now that all the segments, all the categories, all the industry will be represented among it's just a question of time. So exactly. the ecosystem is at a kind of tipping point. And we need time to have some exit. We need time to have the tiki guy or the VNG C-level becoming entrepreneurs. It's like 10 different parameters. It's like a cook who need the right ingredient to make things happen, and time is one of the main driver. So we need to be patient. We need to have a long-term vision and be very resilient and stick to that, and things will come.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, if you asked Indonesians 7 to 10 years ago, they'd be like, hey, where are the unicorns? We see unicorns in Singapore and Malaysia. There aren't unicorns in Indonesia right now. It's just a matter of time, and those emerged. And we're some years behind Indonesia because, as Lang An said, it's a larger market. So of course the money was going to go there first. But there was a survey, actually a couple of surveys now of VCs that have said, hey, which markets are you most excited about in the world? Well, there's one survey that covered by region globally, and then another within Southeast Asia. So globally, Southeast Asia has been the most exciting region for VC and PE investors, LPs of VC and PCs, LPs of VC and PE funds have said Southeast Asia is the most exciting region in the world for them. That's been over the last several years. Then if you ask VC investors in Southeast Asia specifically, for the first time, Vietnam this year and next year have been the most interesting markets for them. Indonesia, number 2. There are a variety of reasons for it. COVID is just one. You talk to VCs, I think you'll hear things like, okay, Indonesia's starting to get saturated. It's starting to get more competitive. It's starting to get to be a private equity game, et cetera. So whereas Vietnam, because it's only been 1 or 2 categories that are starting to see the big winners, there's lots of categories that are still open. And I hope that those category players don't just win in Vietnam, but yeah, they can expand to other emerging markets in the region.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take both quantitative and qualitative factors, obviously you have the 100 million population, you have the steady growth. On top of that, you have the gender balance at work, you have the number of scientists in this country, you have a bit what I call the grit, the DNA of the Vietnamese, and they can already build, and you have also very low competition per category. When you go to India, you have 5 or 10 players competing from the same space. Here you have barely 1 or 2. So good entrepreneurs can, I would say, in 1 or 2 years win Vietnam and have a pretty solid base. And why not expanding to Philippines, to Myanmar, potentially to Thailand, maybe not to Indonesia because they have very deep pocket and money matters in a way, but you could build companies out of 400 million population and be very sizable. And a little story with my 2 partners. So they have this conglomerate of 6,000 talents and companies in like 10 countries in Asia. And they do on an annual basis a kind of a best practice sharing exercise. And so they put all the CMO together, all the CTO, all the CFO, and most of the time the Vietnamese manager, which are not the boss of the others, but they have this energy, this drive, this willingness to learn and to perform. And they ended up being the leader of those informal group. So you guys have really something special, and I believe I don't have any answer of which company you're going to conquer the world, but be number 1 in Vietnam, walk and start running by going to those 2 or 3 other markets in the region and build a pretty big business. And then the world is another story. We have time, but let's first go and win Southeast Asia.
Okay, thank you for that question, and that basically takes us to the end of the time. Can you each share if there's an entrepreneur or investor who wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Surprise me, whatever, email, LinkedIn. Surprise
me.
I'm super open.
Yeah, same, you can reach me anywhere, LinkedIn, Facebook, email. I like to ask one thing. I don't think many of you here probably think about it, but I met with a few, let's say, business people in traditional industries. And they also think there's plenty of opportunity for startup to be in those areas. For example, like manufacturing. So probably look beyond what you're looking for right now and see opportunity in those areas too.
Manufacturing, ag tech, more difficult healthcare tech.
Like mobile banking.
Great.
EKYC.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Can you give our panelists a round of applause, please? All right, now the main event. You're about to hear from 9 founders, folks who are truly inspirational, not just for taking the leap of entrepreneurship in the first place, but for their resilience to thrive and survive, survive and thrive during these tough times. It's a testament to their commitment to do whatever it takes every day to transform how humans live, work, and play. To help from here is a special guest, virtually from Norway, Saola Accelerator Batch 3 Program Director and secret stand-up comedian, Sean Percival. Tech team, if you please.
Welcome everyone to the 500 Startup Vietnam Demo Day 2020. My name is Sean Percival and I've been the program director this year for the Saola Accelerator, getting the chance to work with all the great startups that you're about to meet. I'll be your host for today, introducing you to each startup. You know, I really wish I could join you there in person, but right now I'm actually hiding out in a very small Norwegian village because, well, 2020. Nevertheless, I've had the great pleasure of working with these companies along with the 500 Vietnam team, helping them learn growth marketing, sales strategy, fundraising, and maybe most difficult at all, making sure that Eddie and Ben get their 100x return on the investment. Whew. Today, we're ready to share their progress and give you a chance to get connected directly to them. We have attendees both in person in Ho Chi Minh City and viewers all over the world tuning in via the live stream. We are so happy to have you, even if it's just on video. And hey, let's face it, this is more fun than yet another Zoom meeting. Before we get started, some practical things to get out of the way. Each startup is going to be giving you a 3-minute pitch. Some of our startups are actually there in person in Ho Chi Minh City, while some of us are joining remotely. Regardless of where they are or you are, we've made it super easy to get connected with them. To do that, you're going to go ahead and visit this website right here, or you can scan this QR code. That'll take you to the Demo Day landing page where you can get links to their presentations and the ability to get introduced directly to the founders. If you're interested in what they do, want to partner up, or just have some feedback, I know they would love to hear from you. They've all been working super hard to grow their business, so we really appreciate you making contact with them and helping to support them. Finally, most of our companies are pitching in English today, however, a few are pitching in Vietnamese. For those that are, we'll provide you with subtitles. But please know, you can always outreach in English to any of the teams that you see today. Trust me, they're happy to take your money regardless of what language you speak. So, without further ado, let's get right to the companies. Oh, hey there. Did you know that over 50% of employees in Vietnam are not engaged at work? Yeah, it's true. It's because they don't get the rewards and the recognition that they need. For me? Really? Thank you. Make your employees feel this awesome with our next company. Please welcome Tribee!
It really sucks to be unhappy at work. And it really sucks for companies to waste tons of money on disengaged employees. These employees are not productive, not motivated, and they are changing their jobs anytime a new opportunity arises. Companies in Southeast Asia are losing $78 billion every year because more than half of their employees are disengaged at work. That's $78 billion in lost productivity, replacement costs, absenteeism, and employee turnover. In fact, the employee turnover in Vietnam is 21.5%, the highest in Asia. And many companies have it even worse. One of the companies that we work with is losing 200 out of their 800 employees every single month. And there was no effective solution. We have spoken to over 100 companies, and the problems are always similar. The connection between the company and the employees is weak. The managers cannot figure out what are the needs of each of their employees, and they don't have tools to reward their employees in a meaningful way. Until we came along, introducing Tribee, the employee experience app that helps companies to connect with, understand, and reward their employees to drive business results. Tribee helps companies by enabling them to create their own personalized employee platforms. Just like building with the Lego blocks, they simply choose the relevant modules in the app, they give it their own look and feel, and launch. Employees love being rewarded through Tribee, and they love choosing hundreds of benefits available on the platform. That's why the employers using Tribee can expect increased productivity while reducing the payroll cost, absenteeism, and employee churn. We charge companies monthly subscription fees on a per-employee basis. And we also plan to charge commissions from any products and services sold on our platform. With 145 million employees in our target market in Southeast Asia, our revenue potential is huge. And we are moving fast. In just 3 months since incorporating Tribee, We have raised an angel round. We have rolled out a proof of concept platform to 10 companies, and we have signed one of the largest retailers in Vietnam. Our team has experience in both scaling the venture capital-backed companies, with some members having experience in HR. Toby previously worked for a London-based VC fund and sat on boards of B2B SaaS and e-commerce companies. I have led enterprise sales teams in Southeast Asia and designed programs for an employee benefit company that served over 2 million employees. Our product head Mihao worked and led the platforms that had over 40 million monthly active users. So if you want to help Tribee to transform the disengaged workforce into happy, productive employees, let's chat. But if your company or your portfolio companies are not using Tribee, those employees may be on the way out the door already.
Audiobooks have taken the world by storm, but they're just now taking off in Vietnam. Our next company is helping to drive that growth. They're also going to save you from yet another day binge-watching Netflix all day. Instead, grab your AirPods, tune in, get cozy by the fire, and listen to some of Vietnam's best-selling audiobooks. Please welcome Voiz.
Nhiều nghĩ rằng thị trường Việt Nam không sẵn lòng trả tiền cho content chất lượng cao. Nhưng tại Voiz FM, chúng tôi tin vào điều ngược lại và tăng trưởng doanh thu chúng tôi là minh chứng rõ ràng cho điều đó. Với tỷ lệ sử dụng điện thoại di động ngày một tăng, dữ liệu di động ngày càng rẻ, cùng với cuộc sống rất bận rộn, nhu cầu tiêu thụ content qua các kênh nghe của người Việt đang cao hơn bao giờ hết. Năm 2019, Việt Nam là một trong 5 thị trường lớn nhất trên toàn thế giới của YouTube. Chúng ta có lượng rồi, tuy nhiên vẫn còn thiếu rất nhiều về chất. Hãy nhìn vào thị trường sách nói. Đại đa số sách nói mà bạn có thể tìm thấy trên YouTube, Spotify và những kênh khác đều là sách không có bản quyền. Điều đó có nghĩa là cuốn sách mà bạn đang nghe ngày hôm nay, ngày mai có thể biến mất vì sự vi phạm bản quyền. Hãy tưởng tượng nếu bạn bỏ ra 20 tiếng để nghe Thám tử Sherlock Holmes, rồi đột nhiên bạn không thể nghe tập tiếp theo để biết hung thủ là ai, thì bạn sẽ cảm thấy bực bội như thế nào. Còn chưa kể đến các vấn đề khác như chất lượng âm thanh kém hay đang nghe mà cứ bị gián đoạn bởi quảng cáo. Đây là một cảm giác rất khó chịu. Nhưng chúng tôi tin rằng bạn xứng đáng có một trải nghiệm nghe mượt mà. Đến với Voiz FM, bạn sẽ có quyền truy cập không giới hạn các nội dung như sách nói, podcast và nhiều nội dung âm thanh khác mà không bị quảng cáo làm phiền. 100% các nội dung của chúng tôi đều có bản quyền và bạn sẽ có rất nhiều lựa chọn từ nhiều danh mục nội dung khác nhau. Hiện tại, Voiz FM đã làm việc với các nhà phát hành và nhà xuất bản lớn nhất Việt Nam để nắm bản quyền của hơn 2.000 sách nói. Người dùng chúng tôi sẵn sàng trả tiền cho các content đó. Với hơn 70.000 người dùng đã đăng ký, doanh số quý 3 của Voiz FM đã tăng thêm hơn 6 lần so với quý trước. Không dừng lại ở đó, chúng tôi đang tiếp tục nâng cấp công nghệ để tăng trưởng nhanh hơn nữa. Với công nghệ Text-to-Speech đặc thù mà chúng tôi đang xây dựng, hơn 80% trong các lần thử nghiệm gần đây, người nghe không thể phân biệt được đó là giọng máy. Nhờ công nghệ này mà thời gian sản xuất một cuốn sách sẽ giảm từ 1 tuần xuống chỉ còn 15 phút và chi phí cũng sẽ giảm 75%. Vì thế, người dùng sẽ có nhiều sách để nghe hơn và đặc biệt, thông qua công nghệ này, họ có thể chọn giọng đọc mà họ yêu thích. Bắt đầu tại Việt Nam, nhưng Voiz FM mong sẽ vươn ra thị trường nội dung audio tại Đông Nam Á với trị giá 2 tỷ đô trong tương lai. Đội ngũ chúng tôi bao gồm những người trẻ tuổi với kinh nghiệm đa dạng về công nghệ, phát triển khách hàng và phát triển đối tác. Chúng tôi là những con người đầy nhiệt huyết với sứ mệnh mang audio content có bản quyền tới người dùng trong toàn khu vực. Nếu bạn muốn cùng Voiz FM xây dựng và dẫn đầu xu thế audio content ở Việt Nam và xa hơn thế nữa, hãy liên hệ với tôi. Xin cảm ơn.
You know, these days there's so much talk about artificial intelligence and robots are coming to take our jobs, to which I say, ha, I'd love to see a robot try and do my job, which, to be honest, is mostly just sitting in Zoom meetings all day. But you know who's not so safe? Big, inefficient accounting departments. Yep. That's because our next company helps to dramatically reduce the manual workflow of those departments using, you guessed it, artificial intelligence. So, gather up your invoices and receipts, and let's hear it for Staple!
I worked as an accountant for more than 10 years. And during this period, I didn't make many friends. But in this time, I personally discovered how often humans are forced to do the work that was meant for machines. Banks, finance, healthcare companies, they all rely on manual, data-driven processes. In some cases, 30% of a bank's headcount is wasted managing these manual activities. And all this processing means that businesses spend $76 billion on data capture and data processing services every year. In the past, companies have turned to OCR to help streamline this problem. So OCR, or optical character recognition, is a template-based technology. And it's all very good if you're dealing with documents like this and only this. But what if you're dealing with documents like this, or this, or this? See, that's where OCR starts to break down. It can't handle variations in styles or formats. And that's why we're building Staple. Staple is building AI that can automate data entry at scale. We're combining computer vision, machine learning, OCR, and natural language processing to deliver a solution that can read, interpret, and process any document regardless of layout or language. We're building the underlying data layer for banks, finance, and healthcare companies, the system that converts human-readable documents into machine-readable data, then cleans, classifies, and matches that data across the various systems that these businesses rely upon. We're already working with a global bank, a Big Four accounting firm, and multiple companies across Asia, cementing and proving our superiority to traditional OCR technologies. Now, other companies are building machine learning for this space. So what makes Staple so special? Well, we're one of the few companies that have the capability to do this in Asian language, something that few other companies have done. See, traditionally companies have focused on English or Latin character text. And to realize this ambition, we have the team to deliver. Our tech team is led by 2 PhD computer scientists, Josh and Ashma. Hannah has recently joined us from Gartner as an ex-strategic account director. And I, Ben, have previously worked as a CFO and consultant to multiple financial services clients at KPMG. Together, we're a team that understands exactly what businesses need and exactly how to build it. We're seeking to grow the best team across Vietnam, Singapore, and Japan. And we're looking forward to helping businesses and their employees to take the robot out of the human.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, thanks for the nice meeting. You know, with quarantine and lockdown, so much of our work is now done on video meeting. I guess it's kind of good because we don't have to worry about things like taking a shower or wearing pants. But if you're going to be stuck in video meeting all day, you might as well be super comfortable when you do it. And in that regard, our next company's got you covered, quite literally. Please welcome CoolMate!
Xin chào, tôi là CEO và sáng lập viên của CoolMate. CoolMate là startup cung cấp giải pháp mua sắm dành cho nam giới tiện lợi hơn và tiết kiệm lên tới 50%. Được thành lập vào đầu năm 2019, từ năm 2020 chúng tôi đã đạt doanh số tăng tới 5 lần chỉ nhờ việc bán các sản phẩm cơ bản như áo thun, bít tất và đồ lót dành cho nam giới. Như chúng ta đều biết thì nam giới rất ngại mua sắm, đặc biệt là các đồ cơ bản. Việc phải tới cửa hàng để mua từng đôi tất và cái áo thun của mình là một cực hình. Mua sắm online dường như là một giải pháp cưa cánh dành cho nam giới. Tuy nhiên tại Việt Nam thì theo thống kê gần đây nhất, tới 50% khách hàng đang không hài lòng với trải nghiệm mua sắm online của mình. Và với tất cả các lý do đó, chúng tôi đã tạo ra CoolMate. Với CoolMate chúng tôi mong muốn tạo thành một điểm mua sắm vô tư nhất dành cho nam giới, minh họa về một sản phẩm điển hình của CoolMate. Chỉ với 2 phút trên website coolmate.me là nam giới có thể tạo ngay cho mình một tủ đồ bao gồm các sản phẩm cơ bản như áo thun, đồ lót, bít tất, lên tới 10 sản phẩm và đặc biệt là chỉ phải trả có 490.000 đồng đã bao gồm phí vận chuyển. Tại sao chúng tôi có thể làm như vậy? Đầu tiên là phải kể đến CoolMate đang sản xuất các sản phẩm của mình tại Việt Nam, một đất nước có lợi thế rất lớn về chi phí sản xuất và chất lượng và các sản phẩm trong ngành may mặc. Thứ hai đó là CoolMate sử dụng mô hình thương mại điện tử bán trực tiếp tới tay người tiêu dùng, không có chi phí đắt đỏ cho cửa hàng mà cũng không có chi phí cho khâu trung gian. Chất lượng của sản phẩm CoolMate thì sao? 98% khách hàng của chúng tôi hài lòng với chất lượng sản phẩm. 47% khách hàng quay trở lại mua sắm trong vòng 2 tháng. Kể từ khi thành lập cho tới nay, hơn 100.000 đơn hàng CoolMate đã được giao đi. Tốc độ tăng trưởng doanh số CoolMate là 30% một tháng và đặc biệt chúng tôi có lợi nhuận trong 3 tháng gần đây. Đóng góp vào cái thành công lớn của CoolMate đó là một chiến lược marketing vô cùng hiệu quả. CoolMate sử dụng những người ảnh hưởng để quảng bá và bán các sản phẩm của mình. Hơn 200 video quảng bá sản phẩm của CoolMate trên YouTube, hơn 10 triệu lượt xem và đặc biệt là 20 đến 30 video hàng tháng. Thị trường may mặc của Việt Nam sẽ cán mốc 2 tỷ đô la Mỹ vào năm 2025, trong đó riêng mảng thương mại điện tử sẽ là 500 triệu đô la Mỹ. Để mà chiếm lĩnh cái thị trường nhiều tiềm năng này thì CoolMate là tập hợp của một đội ngũ rất nhiều kinh nghiệm trong các lĩnh vực thời trang, bán lẻ và thương mại điện tử. Ngay lúc này đây bạn có thể lên trang CoolMate.me để trải nghiệm ngay các sản phẩm của mình với mã code Saola 2020 để giảm ngay 20%. Hãy cùng chúng tôi tạo nên một đế chế thương mại điện tử dành cho nam giới tại Việt Nam. Xin cảm ơn.
Got him. You know, for most startups, having bugs is a really bad thing. But that's not really the case for our next company. They actually manage millions of bugs every single year. And for them, the more bugs, the better. You're about to see what I mean, and why their bugs are actually going to have a very positive impact on the world. Please welcome Cricket One.
Five years ago, who would have imagined that broader made with insects from staple food to functional food and now even pet food would hit the shelf of Lidl, Carrefour and the other mainstream supermarket worldwide. But to Cricket One, it was certain to happen. Hi, my name is Vicky. I am the co-founder of Cricket One. We are the global leading producers of food and beverage ingredients from cricket. While animal protein is the main contributor to climate change and the global food crisis, and insect protein has been praised to be a solution. Among those, cricket is a rising star. They have a short life cycle, provide a complete nutritional profile with the diverse applications, but the most important thing, they taste real good. However, the existing farming practices are unsustainable, high cost, and unscalable. At Cricket One, we farm and produce cricket at scale and sustainably, with 3 secret weapons. First, our intensive breeding technologies. Our vertical farm embedded with IoT control and traceability system. This helps us to triple the yield and recoup the investment within 3 months. Second is our proprietary cricket feed. We developed the first 100% plant-based feed for the cricket. This helps us to save 75% of feeding costs and cut down 50% of farming cycle. Third, we work with the farmers. We invest in the farmers, we train them, and we cover all the output from them. This way, we help them to make 6 times extra income, while we don't have to increase the headcount to scale up the productions. Our extensive R&D projects has developed and commercialized different products from cricket, from normal powder to highly processed powder. In 3 months, we are launching and introduced to the market the first burger that tastes like meat but made from cricket. We believe this is going to disrupt the entire alternative protein market. We are well positioned in the market and tackling $4.8 billion market by 2025. With 12 vertical farms and the certified processing factory, we have the largest production capacity in the world that can handle up to 45 metric tons of cricket per month. We are re-exporting to 12 countries across 3 continents with the committed order worth $2 million. We are the first non-European producer with the permit to export insects for human consumption to Europe. My co-founder and I we built a successful startup in the agri-tech space. But this time, we are back with the top global entomologists and animal nutrition scientists. We're looking for a business and financial partner to complete our mission. The future is happening now. Come join us to feed the world.
Hey, we're about halfway through the pitches. I'm also halfway through running out of places to film in my apartment. So we thought this would be a great time to take a little break, have an intermission, and share with you some bloopers from along the way of making this demo day. See you in a few minutes.
Hi, Eddie Tai here. I'm so glad you could join us at 500.
Let's chat. But if your company or your that's the part that's probably on
so good. It was so good.
Yeah, it's true. It's because they don't get the rewards and the recognition that they need. Where's the trophy?
It really sucks to be unhappy at work.
We have the capacity to produce. We have the largest production capacity. We have the largest in the world.
Xin chào team 500 Startup, đây là lần quay thứ N và N là có 3 chữ số.
You're about to see what I mean. And also, while they're bugs. Bugs? What? They're bugs. Who's bugs?
Nhiều nghĩ rằng thị trường Việt Nam không sẵn sàng để trả tiền cho nội dung chất lượng cao, nhưng tại Voiz FM chúng tôi tin vào điều ngược lại. Tăng trưởng doanh thu chúng tôi là minh chứng rõ ràng cho điều đó.
Anh nói tiếng Việt thì còn được, chứ tiếng Anh là anh nói liên tục là anh sẽ nói lung tung hết.
More than 4 out of every.
Humans work, live, and play, each in their own way. I hope you'll see.
Was announced in 20.
Second, third, we work with. With three.
I'm sure you know, artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's changing the entire world. Unfortunately for myself and most investors in the audience, we just don't know what that means. That's okay though. We don't have to, thanks to our next company. That's because they make it really easy for any organization to build and deploy AI and machine learning technology. Wow, I feel so modern and up to date just saying those words. Hey Google, tell me more about machine learning. Interesting.
Artificial intelligence has been the domain of the super nerds for a long time. At PI.EXCHANGE, we're changing that. I'm Kwon Pham, founder and CEO of PI.EXCHANGE, and we help you to build awesome machine learning technology without nerds like me. Machine learning is arguably the most in-demand capability of our time. However, not everyone can have it. The barrier is high because it's expensive, resource-hungry, technically complex, and mostly built for experts. And if you don't have a team of data science professionals, it's out of your reach. One of our clients, a Hong Kong-based logistics company, is a good example. They have good quality ship scheduling data, but without a data science team and no ML dedicated infrastructure, it would take them days to generate insights. And by then, the insights would be inactionable and outdated. Many people are facing the same challenge, a challenge of $90 billion US. So how does PI.EXCHANGE solve this problem? Just like Jarvis to Iron Man, our platform acts as a virtual data scientist to assist, enhance, and empower you in developing and operating machine learning pipelines. We do two things. One, we recommend the most optimal data preparation formula and the most suitable models for your use case. And 2, we track the performance of your deployed model, continuously listen to feedback, and automatically improve them as needed. Unlike other solutions in the market whose approach is more manual, PI.EXCHANGE is laser focused on AI-guided automation. We do all these things automatically in the background, so it works even for novice users. We help people to save time and cost. Like the Hong Kong-based logistics company I mentioned earlier, by using our platform, the time to predict insights went down significantly from days to as little as 10 minutes. And now not only that they can use the insights, they can monetize by selling the insights to their own clients. On a bit, without hiring a single data scientist. We sell through a SaaS model and offer additional services such as onboarding, customization, and support. And over the last 6 months, our revenue and sales has been growing 15% month on month. And we're already working with many big brands in the field of logistics, manufacturing, finance, education, and the public sectors. We have a network of partnership with many big brands and trust players in the industry. Powering PI.EXCHANGE is a team of scientists, engineers, and business professionals with decades of combined experience. I myself come from the background of cybersecurity, software engineering, and data management, and has been delivering enterprise solutions to clients in different industries. PI.EXCHANGE is on a quest to break down barriers, to make AI more accessible, and to help everyone innovate faster and easier. Come and join us. Thank you.
You know, our next company operates both here in my backyard in Norway and in Vietnam. They're working to drive more importing and exporting between our two great countries. Now, if they could only figure out how I can get a beer for the same price in Norway as I do in Vietnam, that would be amazing. Let's hear it for TradingFoe.
Bạn có biết tổng giá trị thương mại giữa Bắc Âu và Đông Nam Á là 165 tỷ đô la Mỹ, và bạn có biết hiện nay chỉ có một công ty duy nhất đang tập trung khai thác hành lang thương mại này với mức tăng trưởng là 25% mỗi tháng, và họ đang tạo ra lợi nhuận. Vâng, xin phép được giới thiệu, tôi là Thomas, CEO và founder của TradingFoe, nền tảng thương mại xuyên biên giới giữa Bắc Âu và Đông Nam Á. Hiện nay, đối với nhiều doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ ở Đông Nam Á thì bài toán thương mại quốc tế luôn là bài toán không hề đơn giản, do gặp nhiều trở ngại về mặt pháp lý cũng như là rào cản về ngôn ngữ. Đặc biệt, quy trình để tìm kiếm và xác minh một đối tác nước ngoài phù hợp với uy tín là rất phức tạp và khó khăn. TradingFoe ra đời để giải quyết bài toán trên. Với TradingFoe, bạn có thể dễ dàng ngay lập tức tiếp cận đến một mạng lưới những nhà phân phối toàn cầu đã được xác minh thông qua nền tảng của chúng tôi và dễ dàng giao dịch với họ thông qua tính năng phiên dịch tức thời. Giao thương còn trở nên dễ dàng hơn với TradingFoe bởi vì chúng tôi đang liên kết ngân hàng quốc tế UOB để cung cấp giải pháp tài trợ tài chính và bảo lãm tín dụng. Ngoài ra, nếu như bạn vẫn còn gặp khó khăn thì đội ngũ nhân viên tại nước sở tại của chúng tôi sẵn sàng cung cấp dịch vụ khách hàng 24/7. Hiện nay, tổng giá trị thương mại giữa Bắc Âu và Đông Nam Á đã cán mốc 165 tỷ đô la Mỹ, và trong đó TradingFoe đang tập trung khai thác ngành thực phẩm và đồ gia dụng với quy mô là 88,3 tỷ đô la Mỹ. Nhìn rộng hơn thì tổng giá trị thương mại toàn cầu của Bizzi là 10,6 nghìn tỷ đô la Mỹ. Tiềm năng lớn như vậy nhưng kể cả những công ty lớn như Amazon và Alibaba chỉ mới phục vụ được hơn 20% thị phần. Với chiến lược tập trung vào những doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ và địa phương hóa, TradingFoe đang dần xây dựng vị thế khác biệt để thành công. Mô hình kinh doanh của chúng tôi là thu phí môi giới trên từng đơn hàng và phí sử dụng nền tảng một năm. Kể từ tháng 9 năm ngoái tới nay, TradingFoe đã xử lý hơn 4,2 triệu đô la Mỹ tổng giá trị hàng hóa với mức tăng trưởng hơn 25% mỗi tháng kể từ 4 tháng gần nhất. Và ngay giữa tháng 8 làn sóng Covid lần thứ 2, chúng tôi đã hạ vốn. Bên cạnh việc phục vụ khách hàng ở Bắc Âu và Đông Nam Á, chúng tôi còn đang làm việc với các tổ chức chính phủ thuộc Việt Nam, Phần Lan và Na Uy. Với đội ngũ nhân viên quốc tế đến từ Việt Nam, Ấn Độ và Na Uy cùng với nhiều năm kinh nghiệm thuộc các lĩnh vực công nghệ thông tin, tài chính, ngân hàng và thương mại điện tử, chúng tôi đã sẵn sàng để xây dựng một con đường tơ lụa mới đến châu Âu dành riêng cho các doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ ở Đông Nam Á. Hãy liên hệ với chúng tôi và cùng thực hiện sứ mệnh này. Xin cảm ơn.
Are you still doing accounts payable the old-fashioned way, kind of like this? Well, if if your accounting books are actual books, it's time to modernize and streamline. And that's exactly what our next startup does. Please welcome Bizzi.
More than 4 out of every 10 companies in the world don't know exactly how they're spending. Scary? Yes. Surprising? Not at all. Especially when half of those 10 companies rely on manual data entry. When you do that across multiple systems, of course, things get lost along the way. With Bizzi account payable automation solution, we want to help SMEs to digitize their cash flow management to make better business decisions. When the AP process is inefficient, it's the accountants who suffer the most. Tasks like validating or inputting data from invoices are not only mind-numbing, but also at little value. It's painful everywhere, but in Vietnam where we are operating, the issue is even more pressing because of the regulation. By July 2022, all Vietnamese businesses will be required by law to adopt e-invoicing. For Bizzi, now is the time to capitalize on the digitalization trend and capture the $400 million invoice processing market here. We started with automating invoice data collection and validation. With Bizzi, you can now process invoices 5 times faster, and the data will be ready to be inputted into accounting or ERP system right away. This means fewer errors, better cash flow visibility, and less compliance headache. On average, our customers can save at least 15 hours of invoice processing time and cut half of their processing costs. From launch earlier this year until now, we are already working with over 100 customers across sectors, including the top 3 convenience store chain and a leading pharmacy chain. We are also quickly establishing partnerships with major accounting firms and tech providers to expand our footprints. And our vision doesn't stop there. We recently released an expand claim and management products. And with our process invoice volume increase at 30% month on month, invoice financing is next on our list, among other things. To realize that vision, we assemble a team with multinational company and VC-backed startup experience. We are looking for like-minded partners. If you are working in accounting or B2B lending and payment, let's work together to help SMEs transform digitally. Thank you.
You know, with lockdowns, travel restrictions, you really have a lot more time to learn a new skill. For example, I'm learning how to crochet. But what about things that are slightly more useful? And how about organizations that want to upskill their workers? Well, that's where the next company comes in. They're helping to spark their employees' desire to learn more and doing it while saving the organization lots of time and money. Please welcome ProSpark.
Did you know that companies in Southeast Asia spend $20 billion to train their employees offline? Half of this budget is spent on training logistics. And in this era of COVID, training offline is particularly unsafe. Hi, I'm Alpha, the CEO and co-founder of ProSpark, an enterprise learning platform that helps companies to train, upskill, and reskill their workforce. We just launched in 2018. And we're already working with some of the largest companies in Southeast Asia, including Sampoina Bank. I am also very excited that we just closed Gojek. ProSpark will be supporting 650,000 Gojek merchants. Our learning platform is in such high demand because companies are scrambling to find newer, safer, and more effective ways to train their employees. Currently, 85% of the enterprise training is still being done offline, costing $20 billion every year, of which half of it is wasted on logistics, such as materials, travel, and also the venue. Offline training is ineffective. For example, the average learner attention span shrank by 25% in the past 3 years. Furthermore, It is time consuming. How many of us spent countless hours in training during the first weeks of your job? And now with COVID, offline training is unsafe. Companies have to adapt. That's where ProSpark comes in. ProSpark is an enterprise learning platform that makes upskilling and reskilling entire workforces as simple as logging in, start a course, take an exam, and also get a reward. ProSpark is a safer, more effective cost-saving alternative to offline training. We save companies money, provide insights on training, learning gaps, and also provide learning recommendations. For example, we are saving some point of bank 25% of their training budget this year. And 90% of employees who have been assigned training content have actually completed it. Our business model is simple. We sell subscription-based licenses. We charge per user. Every new employee who gets onboarded, we make money out of it. We grow our revenue by adding more user licenses and by upselling additional features like reporting tools and selling training content. Our current monthly recurring revenue is $16,000, and we have agreements with 5 companies that will increase our MRR by 40% in January. The opportunity is enormous. In Southeast Asia alone, the size of the e-learning market is $50 billion, and it's projected to grow by 20% within the next 5 years. If anyone can seize the opportunity, it is our team. We are subject matter experts with extensive experience in human resources, technology, and also Southeast Asia market. If you are ready to spark the next generation of e-learning, come talk to us. Thank you very much.
And that is a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for joining us there in person in Ho Chi Minh City and everyone that tuned in via the live stream. As a reminder, you can get connected with any of the companies you met today by visiting our Demo Day website, or you can scan this QR code to go right there. And from there, you can download a copy of their presentation, and you can also get instantly connected with the founders. And before we go, I want to send a huge thank you to those founders. It's been a great experience getting to work with them, watching them continue to grow their business even during these very challenging times. So we really want to send you away and say goodbye, not from me, but from them. So I leave you with their smiling faces, waving goodbye from all over the world. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah. ProSpark.